don't need a high-end designer or a lot of money to get a luxe look. Be your own interior designer.
This is Affordable Interior Design, the podcast.
Here's your host, Betsy Helmuth.
I am pulling up a question from Stephanie. Stephanie's writing from Ohio, and she says, "Hi, Betsy. I've been listening to your podcast for almost a year, and I'm excited every week when you release a new episode. My question is rather general. I have a dining and living room with empty walls that are desperate to be decorated with beautiful paintings or photographs. Do you have a recommendation of places to purchase large paintings and framed photographs? I would love to find a few pieces of mid-century modern framed photographs. Thank you so much for your insight. Hopefully the mailbox is empty enough for my question to be picked. Also, greetings from Hudson, Ohio. P.S. I moved to the United States from Germany, and when I saw your episode named Inner Architecture, I at first thought my phone had auto-translated that episode. It is so cool that you gave it a German name." And I gave it a German name, but I have no idea how to pronounce that German name, as you just heard. But thanks for appreciating that. And let's get to your question. Boy, oh boy, do I have places that need interesting art. In fact, I was just designing a space this morning in Santa Fe, New Mexico for a very dear friend of mine. And he has two places where he needs large statement art. And his inspiration in terms of visuals is Palm Springs, because he bought this adorable mid-century modern home in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I will definitely be tapping into the resources that I'm sharing with you now when I am shopping for art for him. The first is minted.com. Now, it is a little bit pricey, but you can choose your frame, choose your art. They have sizes that are almost 4 feet by 4 feet and lower. And I love them because, these are real pieces of art from real artists. You can even get these pieces signed. And even though they're prints, there is sort of that authenticity. It doesn't feel quite so generic. Of course, you pay a little bit more for that. And speaking of paying more for that, I love Horchow. Those pieces are not all that affordable, but they are gorgeous and feel so unique. They provide that sort of wow factor. Where did you get that conversation piece that so many of us look for when we're selecting art? I also love Paragold. Paragold is, again, pretty expensive for large format art, even though the prices do vary. The thing I love about Paragold is you can filter. So you can filter by exact size, exact colorway. So I can really, especially if I'm choosing for a place that has a lot of constrictions, narrow it down so that I'm not wasting my time. Because the other day, who was I shopping for? Oh yes, my client in Scarsdale. I was trying to find a 4 foot by 4 foot piece for her dining room. I went through like 37 pages of art on Saatchi art. Saatchi art is great because the pieces are original, but that's exponentially more expensive than the other resources I've shared so far. I do love an original, but again, that's next level in cost and greatly reduces your options in terms of what's available. I also love High Fashion Home. Again, that's more of a hunt because their filter system is not great, but I find beautiful gems at moderate price points. Now, if we're going affordable, my favorite affordable is greatbigcanvas.com. On greatbigcanvas.com, you can filter in so many different ways, including size, orientation, color, thematically. So there's just a lot of great filters that can help me to narrow it down. And then I can choose any frame I want. So unlike some of the other vendors I just discussed where it comes in a gold frame, and sometimes that's a deal breaker for me. If I'm working in a room that's using silver metals, it's a deal breaker for me to have a gold frame. So I really love the flexibility of being able to frame it just how I want it with Great Big Canvas. And it's so affordable, even though the pieces do look somewhat more generic. They have a lot of photography on there, just tons to sort through. Another one is iCanvas. iCanvas, again, they give a lot of options for customizing and it's very affordable. You might also want to check out Print Company. Personally, I have not used them yet, but I really want to. I'm always going to their website looking for photography and being quite hopeful that I'll find something just perfect. But I wind up having more luck on the other sites, even though the Print Company is very affordable. And an old standby, if I exhaust all those options and I'm still feeling somewhat uninspired, is Pottery Barn. Pottery Barn does have a lot of good large format art pieces, including sculptural art, which is really interesting when sometimes I want to think outside the frame and use something woven or wire, metal. It's just a fun place to go for maybe something wooden. Lots of different options that, again, will provide that wow factor without breaking the bank. A big thank you to Aton and the Embassy, who wrote our theme song. A shout out to Catherine Heller, who owns the podcast shop and is our editor extraordinaire. We also want to thank Ginny Sunasan and her team at the Savvy Podcast Agency for their help with our social, our YouTube channel, and so much more. We also want to thank Uploft, which is our parent company who supports this podcast. And lastly, we owe a huge debt of gratitude to you. Thank you so much for tuning in and for all your support.